We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I'm on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to your skin when you're peeling from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kinda make a game out of the peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I googled one of the names and discovered the person was actually missing. The missing date matched the date under the wallpaper. The next day I made a list of the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out a crime scene team. I overheard one text say, "Yep, it's human." Human? What's human? Ma'am, where's the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing.
I was with my wife and children driving to a local Walgreens when my wife suddenly stopped the car and pointed into the street. I looked and saw two young children in the middle of the road in diapers, wandering around and looking confused. My wife ran out as I stayed in the car with my kids, picked up the smaller one, and took the hand of the older one to walk them into the parking lot of the Walgreens. Up close, I could tell that both diapers were horribly soiled, as had not changed in days. They were both dirty and smelled awful. It was a fairly cold night and was raining some, so the children were very cold and shivering. We immediately called the police and waited with the children until they arrived. The younger child was approximately 2 years old, and as my wife comforted him, he just kind of laid there and looked happy to be getting attention. The older child was about 4 or 5, and as I stated, was still in a diaper. He couldn't speak and looked very frightened of anyone getting near him. He would grunt and whimper, but seemed to have no way to communicate at all. I had to gently keep him in the area as he was trying to run off, but finally got him to calm down by wrapping a warm blanket around him and humming to him. The cops arrived after about 10 to 15 minutes and took our statement of what happened. We told them our story, continuing to comfort the children until a team of paramedics got to the scene to make sure that kids didn't need medical attention for exposure, hypothermia, etc. After a while, maybe an hour after we had first found them, a strung-out woman wandered onto the scene and says casually that the children are hers. She is obviously high and tries claiming to the cops that the children were only gone for 5 to 10 minutes. The cops called her out on her bullshit and spent the next couple of minutes yelling, asking her how she could let her children wander a fairly busy street almost naked in the rain and cold. A man who identifies himself as their dad arrived shirtless and filthy, also strung out. The cops asked why the older boy was not speaking, and they said he never did, not elaborating why that was. When asked where they lived, they told conflicting stories, obviously trying to lie to the cops to make it seem the children had not wandered far. But from what it seemed, they lived at least several blocks away. The mom tried to take the children, but the police stepped in and told her that they were in police care now and would be assessed by a CPS rep at the police station before they would be able to return home. Not long after this, we were told we could go as they gathered all they needed from us. I never found out what happened to those kids. I hope that they got the help they obviously needed. I'm still bothered by the whole event. I wonder what kind of life they had led to leave them filthy, mute, and alone in the middle of a city street.
I don't know why I looked up, but when I did, I saw him there. He stood against my window. His forehead rested against the glass, and his eyes were still and light. He smiled a lipstick red, cartoonish grin, and he just stood there, in my window. My wife was upstairs sleeping. My son was in his crib, and I couldn't move. I frozen, watched him looking past me through the glass. Oh, please no. His smile never moved, but he put his hand up and slid it down the glass, watching me, with matted hair and yellow skin and face, through the window. I couldn't do anything. I just stayed there, frozen, feet still in the bushes. I was pruning, looking into my home. He stood against my window.
This is the creepiest crime that I've ever heard of from my dad, who is a former cop. He worked on one of the local precincts for a few years before moving up to a bigger job. He was working the night shift around his apartments when he got a noise complaint. Since this was nothing unusual, he wasn't in a big hurry to get over there. The only thing weird about the call was that the neighbors said it sounded like someone was starting a lawnmower in an apartment, but dispatch thought it was just weird music. So he gets over to the apartment building and walks up to the unit to find the door open a bit. Before I go on, let me tell you about the occupants of this apartment. They were a mid-20s married couple. The husband had just returned from being deployed, and the wife was an accountant at some place that's not important to the story. Now, while the husband was still overseas, he found out that his wife was cheating on him heavily. So when he got back, he did what any normal guy would do. He bought her a new dress, and they went out to have an expensive dinner. While they were out, he made sure she got extra drunk, and as precaution, he slipped some sleeping pills into her food/drink. They left, and she passed out in the car. He drove her home and carried her up to the living room, laid her on the couch, and took off all her clothes. He then went to the garage, grabbed his handy-dandy chainsaw, and ran back to his loving wife. He then started said chainsaw and butterflied her from cooch to chin, my father's words. After slicing his bride open, he went onto the back porch and French kissed his Mossberg, committed suicide with his shotgun. So when my father knocked on the door and it opened a bit more, he saw the bloody mess that was formerly their living room. He phoned for backup and they got there pretty quick. They entered the apartment, and after clearing the place, a few had to leave the area because of the wife's corpse. Before the video ends, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching, and also a big thanks to Cheerio Reads for doing this collaboration with me. And to help him out, I want all of you guys watching this to go over and subscribe to his channel. Link will be down in the description. So yeah, this is the end of the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.